Welcome to Your Family's Health, the program that focuses on healthcare issues with unique and different modalities for taking charge of your health today. Experts talk weekly with our continuing roster of guests from around the country and right here in Nassau County to keep you up to date on the latest health issues and trends. Take care of your mind, body, and soul. Spend the next half hour with the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC, and get on the journey to better health.
Hello and welcome to Your Family's Health. My name is Dr. Jeanine Cook-Garard from the nursing department here at Nassau Community College, along with nursing student Gina Peter. And today we're going to talk about how addiction can affect anyone and everyone.
Our guest today is sports and celebrity agent Darren Prince, the author of Aiming High, a book that chronicles the story of his battle with addiction while representing some of the most iconic figures in the world, such as Magic Johnson, Hulk Hogan, Charlie Sheen, Dennis Rodman, Chevy Chase, Denise Richards, Carmen Electra, and more.
Darren, welcome to Your Family's Health on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. Welcome, Darren.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So you have quite a story and quite a background. Let's just start with the beginning. So what made you become a sports agent? And how did you get so successful at that high-profile job that you have?
I started in the sports merchandise business. I was in the baseball card industry in the 1980s, and then I started booking autograph signings for various iconic, legendary athletes and celebrities. And I eventually sold those companies, and I started my agency. And I think the dream that I had to become an agent was initially I wanted to be a professional baseball player. I played in college 1 year, and my business blew up so much with the baseball cards that I had to drop out. So I figured maybe the next best thing that would be pretty cool would be working directly for the athletes and celebrities.
Mm. So you sold your company at the age of 20 for $1 million. Is that correct?
Yes.
So can you tell us a story about that?
So I built up a baseball card business from the time I was 14. I started it in 1984, and I wasn't the best student. I was classified as having a severe learning disability, which we look back on now. We think it was just more ADD. And my dad and a teacher, Elliot Lovey, who ran the Intro to Business course in high school, he gave us a challenge to create our own business overnight. So I sat down with my dad, and he had no idea I amassed a collection that was worth so much money, and challenged me and said, well, yep, thousands of dollars worth of cards. Who's going to buy these things? And I had a game plan. Even at 14, I pulled out a big newspaper ad. There was no internet back then. And I said, look, for $40, I can rent a table for the whole day. And I guess all these different collectors come, they buy, sell, and trade. And I put so much energy and effort into that, literally every night after school, probably doing very little homework, and just knowing that this was an opportunity for me to show people that I am somebody and not that kid in the back of the room that can't get a proper education and is always daydreaming. And I made over $1,000 on that first Sunday at 14, which was just an astronomical amount of money. And by the time I was 16, the company was making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and I was more or less a stockbroker for investment grade baseball cards for different stockbrokers all over the country. I had a cell phone at 16 years old that nobody had in 1986, and the business just really blew up, and it afforded me a lot of opportunities to bring my friends along for the ride and take care of loved ones and family, and really get out there and network and put myself in the middle of the industry on a national level, which eventually I started meeting certain athletes that were signing autographs at these conventions.
Tell us about your current business now.
So the current business now, Prince Marketing Group, we represent athletes and celebrities for all sorts of endorsements like commercials, book deals, TV deals, corporate appearances, speaking engagements, intellectual property licensing deals. It could be anything from a clothing line, T-shirts with their image on it, a lot of social media branding opportunities. Magic Johnson just did the Amazon Small Business Campaign. He did one for Uber Eats about a month and a half ago for National Chicken Wing Day through our new division, Prince Digital Group, which because of COVID, we more or less reinvented what the marketing group used to do, but moved everything online to digital. whether it's social media, whether it's Zoom motivational events, whether it's Zoom meet and greets. And then there's a lot of opportunities, I think, with people at home that are bored or anxious, that they're just online buying constantly. So it seems like licensed merchandise is even, more popular than ever, because you're just sitting there on Amazon or eBay and, buying these little things that can make you feel good, put a smile on your face,
So just switching it to more of a health perspective, have you been affected by COVID-19?
I haven't been. I've taken every precaution possible. Most importantly to me, more than a physical part, is the mental and the spiritual component of recovery. Having celebrated 12 years sober in July, I've done everything I can. Thank you. I've done everything I can to stay connected to my spiritual brothers and sisters. I do a lot of interviews. I've done quite a few, motivational keynote, inspirational keynote talks for colleges, different organizations. I'm doing them every week, because to me, the opposite of addiction is connection. And when you find that connection, and we find out who you really are and what your purpose is. And for me, it's about giving back on life. The business is one thing. That's what I do. But, truly, in my heart of hearts, the most important accomplishment to my life is being a recovering drug addict looking to give this gift away to people right now. And especially more than ever during this pandemic, there's so many people out there suffering, and teenagers, and whatever I can do. I've got affiliation with Banning Treatment Centers. They have 14 properties. We get people treatment if they need it, even if they can't afford it. Elite Home Detox is an at-home detox service, round-the-clock care from a nurse. And these are things that were never available when I was using 12 years ago. And it's just a beautiful thing to have the ability to, refer people and try to help them out during these tough times, so they can really come out of this creating the best healthy mental, physical, and spiritual version of themselves.
Yes, that's awesome. So when did addiction become an issue for you? How old were you, and what were you addicted to? What was...
It started at 14 at sleepaway camp. I was getting bad stomach pains one night, and the counselor took me to see the nurse in the infirmary, and she gave me a green liquid that tasted like a really bad cough syrup. And within 5 minutes, all the inadequacies I felt at that age from having a learning disability, whether it was, feeling of less than, insecurity, not confident, not feeling good enough, they all went away. And I knew this was a feeling that I would need forever. I got back to the bunk. I was the talkative, fun guy. I felt just as smart as everybody else. I started flirting with some of the girls in the bunk next to me for the first time. And I felt like I had superpowers. And I wound up chasing that feeling for 3 weeks. I basically lied and conned and did everything I had to do to make the counselor and the nurse think my stomach pain was that bad every night, until my mom and dad came up for visitation day and found that I was taking liquid Demerol. And that was the end of that. But it's still, wouldn't have mattered. I tell people all the time, I did a lot of speaking engagements last year, and a lot of mothers will hear that story about the nurse and get angry, but it wouldn't have made a difference, because 4 months after that, I had my wisdom teeth removed in New Jersey, and the dentist gave my mom these white pills. I had no idea what they were, and that same feeling came back. And I remember after 2 days, there were no pills left. I was so bummed out and depressed. And I went downstairs to the kitchen, and I put on the crocodile tears. I grabbed my cheek, and I told my mom that we have to go back to the dentist. I'm in so much pain. I think I have a bad infection. And as a loving mother who wants to see their child suffer, so she took me back the next day. And, lo and behold, I was getting extra strength Vicodin and another opiate. And I conned and did everything I had to do with the dentist to make him think I was in real pain. And for 3 more days, I was on cloud nine, not having to think about life, not having to feel. And, I did that for the better part of 24 years, very, very highly functioning, but living a complete double life in the end, and always looking, for an outside fix that was really an inside job, which I didn't get to do that work until I finally got sober and surrendered.
In your new book, Aiming High, you talk about the behind the scenes of your life as a sports and Hollywood celebrity agent, but you also tell your story of addiction. So why are you telling your story openly now?
There's several reasons. First off, it's needed. The opiate epidemic is at an all-time high. And the reality is I own my own agency, so I'm blessed to be the Prince in the Prince Marketing Group. And if you look at a lot of the other agencies that are out there, like a William Morris, ICM, CAA, there's still too much of a stigma, I believe, and liability with even people that are in recovery. even after 12 years with me. And I was able to, fortunately, have all my clients jump on board with this, because even if they're not affected directly themselves, every single one of them have brothers, sisters, family members, friends that have been struggling from addiction. So when I signed my deal with Anna David to publish the book and my amazing writer, Kristen McGinnis, the first thing I did was I need a marquee name to write the forward, because I really want this going to the masses. I've been given a gift of recovery. I've been given a gift of a brand new lease on life. And I need to let people know that it doesn't matter if you're from Park Avenue or Park Bench or Yale to jail, that addiction does not discriminate. And, God bless him, my first client, my most important client, my mentor, he's like a big brother, Magic Johnson, agreed to write the forward. And that was it. We started getting testimonials from Mark Cuban, Jeanine, the Lakers owner, Hulk, Rodman, all my clients, Ric Flair. And it just took off on a life on its own. And it's been such a blessing, because a lot of people look at addiction and mental health and certain traumatic situations that we've been in being the worst experiences of our life. But now looking back at it, it's truly been the best. I really have found my soul on this journey. I found my purpose in life. And I got no more ego, because the ego is what kept me in the hell of addiction. Like I told you earlier, to me, I don't, when I'm long gone, I don't want anybody remembering the sports and celebrity age in life. I want people to know that I was, a drug addict looking to give this gift away, and found an easier, softer way to live a much, much better quality of life.
You're listening to Your Family's Health on the voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC. My name is Dr. Jeanine Cook-Garard, along with Nassau Community College nursing student Gina Peter. And today we're talking with Darren Prince, the author of Aiming High, a book that chronicles the story of his battle with addiction, while representing some of the most iconic figures in the world, such as Magic Johnson, Hulk Hogan, Charlie Sheen, Dennis Rodman, Chevy Chase, and more. So I just have a question for you. How did you know when you hit rock bottom? Was this an epiphanical moment, or how did you know when it was it?
I was ready. I was given the gift of desperation, as I call it. And it was July 1st, 2008. My uncle and his then girlfriend, Andrea, they were in the 12-step fellowship for recovered addicts and alcoholics. And they were in town from Miami visiting my mom in New Jersey, and just paid me a surprise visit. And I was already at that so-called jumping off point, suicidal thoughts, didn't want to wake up in the morning, had no idea how it got this bad. And she just walked in, and I never met her before. And she asked if I was okay. And I opened up to her, and I just said, no, right away. She goes, what's wrong? And I told her everything. And it was the first of my, I guess, God moments, because she's like, do you know that I'm in recovery? Do you realize that, addiction doesn't discriminate? Do you realize that you're powerless no matter what type of stuff you have or success, that, this will take you 6 feet under? And I said, yeah. I said, I'm in desperate need of help. And she's like, if you want to do everything I tell you to do, you can get everything that I have. And it's a beautiful spiritual life of recovery. But once you get this gift, you got to understand one thing. The key to keep it is to give it away to other people. And I was set off on a 36-hour detox plan. And the night, July 2nd, 2008, I came back from the gym. I was married then to my now ex-wife, and came up from the gym with the detox pains. I was sweating. I was sick. I just felt miserable. And I called up my uncle and Andrea, and I said, that's it. I'm calling the doctor. I'm getting what I really need to get, which are the opiates. And they said, this is the damn disease talking. You got to, humble yourself and check your ego and get yourself to a 12-step meeting and put your hand up and tell these people you're sick, you're suffering, and you need help. And I said, I can't do it. I hung up the phone. I was like, I've been to those dumb meetings. I can't identify with anybody. And I ran into the bathroom to grab a couple non-narcotic anxiety pills to help me with the cravings. And out came 2 extra strength Vicodins, which was so odd, because we knew we cleaned out every medicine cabinet. And, for a split second, it actually seemed like a gift from God. Like, wow, it's exactly what I need to take the edge off. But that's when the miracle happened in the Caroline building in New York City. In Chelsea, I fell to my knees and called out to God like I never did before, with tears rolling down my face, shaking, trembling. And I said, I need your help. And within seconds, I felt this burning fiery sensation on my right shoulder, and I heard the voice say, "I've got you and you're ready." And I stood up and I flushed the pills, and within 30 seconds, I wound up on the computer looking for a 12-step meeting, and I found one in the upper 80s, and there was no Uber back then. So I walked down to the front of the building and jumped in a taxi. And the only thing I can think of is I was looking up at a beautiful night on July 2nd, 2008 at the sky saying, "Oh my God, what just happened?" Because for the first time in my life, I wanted to stay sober more than I wanted to get high. And I walked into a church basement with 150 to 200 recovered addicts and alcoholics. And this hand went right up and they said, "Is anybody sick, suffering, new?" And I said I was all of it. I said I was suicidal. I don't know what to do. I don't want to live anymore. I need your guys' help. And 10 to 12 beautiful spiritual brothers and sisters that had no idea who Darren Prince were came over to me, who he was, and just told me all these little amazing things that I, put into my heart and my soul, and they all gave me their phone number. And, one day at a time became a week, became a month, became a year, became multiple years. And I started doing exactly what Andrea told me, to keep this gift, I have to give it away. I need to show people that it's a strength to get into recovery. There's no shame. It's how you come out on the other side to really make your bottom a brand new beginning.
So you think that, would you say that the testimony here is, you went through and kind of saw God, or God was the place where you met him was at your lowest, is the meeting of God was the place where you met God, and recovery began. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody has the ability, whether you believe in God or spiritual being or something bigger than ourselves. And, I had that white light moment, and, I've had what I like to call a lot of GMCs since then, God managed coincidences and different scenarios, because I travel over the world and I still go to meetings, and I'm in touch with so many new spiritual brothers and sisters that reach out. But there's been so many amazing coincidences, because I just think if you live the life as a half full type of person and you focus on what you have, not what you don't have, I think all of us have blessings in front of us. And I think, especially during these tough times, if you could just find a way to get out of your own head and be of service to other people, I think a lot of times it's just that simple of a fix that we might think we have problems, but in the grand scheme of things, the more or less luxury problems, as my sponsor Steve always likes to put it, but none of us are responsible for our thoughts, but we are responsible for how long we want to think those thoughts. And I think the biggest thing in today's world is getting out of our own head and helping others. I think that's the way that you build real inner strength and a foundation and a core for living your best life,
So how did you finally break the addiction? What worked for you, and how many years sober are you now?
Okay, so I would say probably the first year, more or less, I think I was an exposed nerve. Again, as my sponsor and my therapist at the time put it, I really had to learn how to put the pieces of my life back together. I had to, learn my thought process. And, it doesn't mean I'm a perfect human being now. I still make mistakes. I'm a feel-good junkie at heart. So whether it's a piece of candy or whatever it might be, that just gets me going. But thank God, that's not going to kill me. So I know I have the ability, and I've had the ability, which I have done and implement, to substitute those bad addictive tendencies for healthier ones. So I work out 6 days a week. I do a lot of self-care with myself. I'm obsessive with, absolutely speaking, doing interviews. I did 57 speaking engagements last year, helping people. That fills such a void and gives me ultimately the self-esteem that I never had by doing esteemable acts and helping other people. It was never about the athletes and the celebrities. It was about what I could do on a personal level on this journey. And I just think each day it's always about my outlook. And as long as I find some way to be connected with people that are in need of help, that keeps me further away from relapsing. And I still do my meetings a few days a week on Zoom now. I'm in touch constantly with a lot of my spiritual brothers and sisters. And I think every single one of us, the more we're out there just pushing this message, it keeps us further away from that relapse.
So what is your go-to advice for someone who may be affected with the addictions on how to really break them? For you, it was God, I'm hearing, and for you, it was the support of others. what would you say is the biggest way that you were able to really break it?
I think the honesty. You got to be honest within yourself, and you have to realize the courage is speaking up. The reason I love speaking to high school kids is because I don't want them to be the next Darren Prince. You know, if you put a drink, a drug, or a substance in your system that makes you feel like somebody or not, that's not a good thing. Not a good thing, because that was me. And that's so many out there that are suffering, so many adults that just think everything's okay and just have those little moments where they know they're not. And having that strength and that courage to speak to anybody at any point. You know, I openly give out my number, my Instagram at agent_DP, Facebook Darren Prince in Los Angeles, California. People can email me, message me anytime. And I'm 24/7 to help talk about what worked for me and what worked for others. But, you know, it's keeping it a secret is the worst. You have to find somebody that you can trust and really just surrender and understand there are people out there that have recovered and created the most amazing lives for themselves, and that there is a solution. And you just have to willing to have the courage to speak up to somebody you trust.
Is finding someone to trust very difficult, especially when you're dealing with celebrities? Did you find very hard to really have a confidant to break down and say, you know what, this is the way it is. I have a problem. I have an addiction. Did you find it hard to find people that you could trust and really be honest and open with?
I mean, you know, there was some hesitation early on, and you know, especially when I wrote the book. You know, even a couple of the people that I work with were a little bit nervous, and I didn't care because I was like, I know I've got a feeling inside of me right now, this fire that I know this is going to help change and save lives. And it's not about me. It's not about the people that work with me or for me. This is that simple. It's that black and white. And once everybody knew about the book, once I was open, even long before the book, about celebrating 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, I could just tell the reaction was so different. It was so unique compared to doing a big business deal or an endorsement deal or a commercial. Was something that hit so close to home that, you know, it started giving me the confidence and the trust of knowing, hey, I can pretty much talk to anybody about this. It's amazing that the first thing is, oh, good for you. Congratulations. That's great. My sister is suffering from this, my brother this, my best friend, my mom, my dad. And I started realizing everybody knows somebody struggling with it. So for me to talk about it and put it out there to, you know, to the universe, and then on a national, international scale with the book and speaking and talk shows and interviews, I was like, that's the problem. People need to make the pandemic of recovery more about the recovery than the addiction, because we need to let people out there that are sick and suffering know there is a solution.
You're listening to Your Family's Health on the voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC. My name is Dr. Jeanine Cook-Garard, along with Nassau Community College nursing student Gina Peter. And today we're talking with Darren Prince, the author of Aiming High, a book that chronicles the story of his battle with addiction, while representing some of the most iconic figures in the world, such as Magic Johnson, Hulk Hogan, Charlie Sheen, Dennis Rodman, Chevy Chase, and more. So, we thank you so much for being with us. I think before you leave, we have another question. Gina has a question for you.
Sure.
You spoke a lot about how, you know, addiction affects everybody. It doesn't discriminate. And even if you're not affected directly, you could be affected indirectly, can have a relative, a friend. What is your advice to loved ones on how they can help somebody who's suffering from addiction?
I know it's so tough. It's a question I get asked every day. I mean, it's, you know, a lot of the loved ones are too close. And that's also why I do so many of these interviews, because, you know, I'll send out free books to whoever, just some way where I could be a safer person, or anybody that's in recovery could be that safer person. You just really need to sit down and talk to them openly and honestly, and not be down their throat, because when we're in that place of using, we're defensive, we're embarrassed, we think this is what we need, we don't want to, you know, accept what's going on. And if you can get that one opportunity to ask if they want help or if they're willing to consider getting help, and you get a yes, that's all you need, because then you can do research in the area that you live, or like I said, they can contact me. Banyan Treatment Center has 14 properties around the country. You just need that little glimmer of hope for somebody to have just that much of accountability to say, you know what, I want help before it's too late.
So tell us, how do we reach you?
So they can go to Instagram. It's @agent_DP. They can go to Facebook, which is Darren Prince in Los Angeles, California, or they can go to my official website, which is officialdarrenprince.com, and they can message us there.
So if you had one thing that you wanted to leave with the listening audience, what would you say would be your mantra or your takeaway from this life experience, your lived experience?
I think if you find yourself going through hell, keep going, and that adversity truly reveals our character and it brings it out in us. So when you're going through tough times, just know you're going through it for a reason, and you're going to come out on the other side. And you just have to, have trust in your own higher power, however that may be, that whatever you're going through, it's just temporary. It's just for a short term. It's just for a season. And, if you keep fighting and battling through it, there's going to be, a beautiful light at the end of the tunnel. I've seen it so many times. I see it every day. I hear so many stories every week, every month, because, mine's just not unique. I just happen to get out front and center with it and share it to the world.
And I'm very impressed by your business sense, very impressed by your business savvy. You talk to me about your schooling, but then you're able to be this excellent business person. What would be your advice for someone who is rebounding and needs to start and desires to start a business?
I mean, that's an easy one. My father, who passed away in February 2017, was one of my biggest business mentors, as well as Magic and Hulk. But the reality is, what I've learned so often is you have to surround yourself with people that are more successful than you. You have to go into rooms that you're not the smartest and most successful people in the room. The reality at the end of the day, it's who you know, not what you know. And, when you surround yourself with individuals that are more successful, that have what you want, you can learn from all their years of mistakes and save yourself a ton of financial heartache and years of bad experiences, and you can gravitate to all their success. So it's about finding mentors or people you look up to and are doing it at a level that you want to do it, and just find a way to get in there. Most people I find are super helpful, no matter what age you are, that they want to help and kind of guide you and almost be a mentor to others to share what they've had in professional success. You just have to, again, the courage to ask up and reach out, send somebody an email, contact them on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever it might be, and take that chance, because you'll be surprised.
Wow, that's inspiring. So I want to thank you, Darren Prince, for really being with us and talking to us. I was inspired by that. We hope you stay safe and continue to do the great work that you're doing.
Thanks for having me, guys.
This is Dr. Jeanine Cook-Garard from the Nursing Department here at Nassau Community College, along with nursing student Gina Peter. And we want to thank you for listening to this week's edition of Your Family's Health.
We'd like to get your feedback on your family's health. Send your comments by emailing them to whpc@ncc.edu. Podcasts of today's show are available on iTunes, Android Podcasts, and Spreaker. This program was produced at the studios of Nassau Community College in cooperation with the Nursing Department. Join us next week for another edition of Your Family's Health on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.